Good morning, Kevin McCullough. Glad you're with us. It is a stormy day for 1 out of every 4 Americans. Hurricane Irene continuing its crawl up the eastern seaboard. We're watching it for you. And we've got a lot to talk about that is newsworthy as well. We were taking your calls on the Elmhurst College stuff. We will continue to do that. But I'm pleased to welcome my next guest, Candi Cushman from Focus on the Family and heading up the TrueTolerance.org work. Candi, welcome to the Kevin McCullough Show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be with you.
What's your official position with Focus?
Education analyst.
All right. So you're out there watching what's going on in the schools and how it's affecting children and families and their interaction from the culture and from the society. There's a concern that sex activism is going to be on the increase on campuses this fall. Do you think that's a well-founded concern, or are people overhyping that?
I think we are seeing unprecedented pressure on schools, K all the way up to the college level, to bring promotion of homosexuality topics. We're talking transgenderism, bisexuality, just really messing with the whole idea that there is a God-designed male and female genders. We're seeing that pressure at unprecedented levels, and it's coming from the federal government as well. You know, they've had several forums on this. They've sent warning letters to schools.
Well, wait. I want to take this one thing at a time. So you're saying, because I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. You're actually saying there's a coordinated effort to expose kids to the concept of homosexuality? What are the activists trying to do with the kids themselves in classrooms?
Well, we're seeing this starting as young as kindergarten, and so let's just take the younger grade levels first. And
okay.
What we're seeing is, first of all, homosexual activist groups in the local areas pushing schools to bring in messages promoting homosexuality to young kids, familiarizing them with the whole idea of same-sex relationships. And one way this is happening is by bringing in books, fairy tale stories, books that have fun, captivating images of cute little animals. For example, there's a book called Uncle Bobby's Wedding, and it's about 2 male guinea pigs getting married. There's a picture of them on the front of the book in their little tuxes, and this is a trend that we're seeing, familiarizing very young children, whether their parents like it or not, with the whole idea of same-sex marriage, homosexual relationships. And then when you get into the older grade levels, we're seeing really this deconstruction of the whole idea that God designed us with a male and female gender. The idea is that you can choose any gender that you want, any sexuality you want, along a whole spectrum of choices. For example, GLSEN, one of the largest groups coming into schools, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, encourages students to practice using what they call gender-neutral pronouns, like Z instead of he, Z-I-E instead of he. It's just really crazy stuff, and you wouldn't believe it unless you're actually looking at the curriculum and books like I've been doing. Yeah.
Well, Candi Cushman joins us from Focus on the Family this morning. And Candi, let me, because what you're saying, as someone who's been part of the public debate over how we define marriage and family for the last 20 years, I find even some of these tactics to be counterintuitive to some of the very arguments that the gay activist groups have been making. For instance, one of the hardcore things that people are arguing right now is, look, sexual orientation is hardwired. We don't have a choice or fluidity or anything about that. So how are they making the argument now that when you're in high school, you can just, it's kind of a gourmet, come and pick what you want and take what you like and so forth? Aren't they defeating isn't that counterintuitive to their own argument?
Well, it does give the impression that you can sort of choose for the day, you know, what you want to be. You can pick what restroom you want to go into according to how you're feeling inside. So, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Okay, so you've got these guest speakers that come in from time to time, and you said this starts as young as kindergarten. I was with some friends a few weeks ago. I used the word homosexual at the dinner table with an 8- and a 9-year-old sitting at the table, and my wife punched me and was like, don't, and I shouldn't have, and I apologized later. But how aware are parents of these curriculum influences, and will they be notified before these guest speakers and these books will be introduced to their kids?
Well, Kevin, I think we really are seeing parents being taken off guard, because what's happening is there's this trend of this stuff being brought in the name of tolerance lessons under courses called family diversity, anti-bullying programs. And so maybe parents won't look into that because it sounds innocent enough. But then lo and behold, it turns out there's homosexuality instruction for kids as young as kindergartners in a so-called anti-bullying program. I mean, you might recall in Alameda, kids being mandated. They were mandated. The parents couldn't opt their kids out. And so, you know, we've set up this website, truetolerance.org, to try to educate parents and let them make their voice heard about it.
Yeah, let's talk about the website itself. Again, it's called truetolerance.org. True Tolerance, spell it out, one word, .org. What are some of the helps that parents will find if they go there?
Well, what it does is sort of walk parents through how to navigate this issue, because a lot of parents, number one, feel powerless when they're trying to, talk to their school officials. It can be intimidating trying to deal with a bureaucratic system. And so we want to come alongside them and equip and empower them. Because after all, they have more of a stake at what's happening in their school than these outside special interest groups that are trying to come in and influence. So first of all, we have a What Parents Need to Know toolbox. We've got examples of some of the books and concerning curriculum they need to be aware of. And then the great part is we've made it where they can easily communicate directly with their school officials. We have a Take Action Center where they go there and they can email directly to their school officials information from legal experts that explain parental rights, religious freedoms that they need to be aware of and be concerned about. There's even a model anti-bullying policy on there that offers protection for all children without sexualizing the issue. So it allows parents to, in a loving and fact-based way, give information to their school officials and offer positive solutions, right? You know, rather than just complaining, to say, hey, there's some helpful information on here I'd like you to consider. And there's even Alliance Defense Fund offers free help to school officials that need help navigating these issues through this website.
Oh, that's great. Now, so how's that based on zip code? If they, how do they know?
Well, they need to at least have their school officials email, but they can send information that's already professionally packaged with a cover letter from legal experts and links in the email, already in the email for the school official, and they can click on the link and get a nice professionally packaged letter with a memorandum and examples and statistics.
All right, that's very helpful. Candi, if parents choose not to get involved and not pay attention to this, as an education analyst for Focus on the Family, what is your greatest fear about what will become of the public school space in potentially this calendar year? What would you foresee happening if parents don't get involved on this?
Well, I do feel passionately about this, and I think we need to look at it from a spiritual perspective. There are scriptures in the Proverbs about that we're accountable if we see people, individuals, children staggering away to harm, and we do nothing and we ignore that. And the fact is, 90% of school-age children are in public schools today, government-funded schools. That's some 55 million children. So we really can't turn a blind eye to what's happening. We need to start communicating, start being proactive with our school officials. When you leave a vacuum there, of course that lets darkness, get in and be predominant. And so we need to get the light in there and make our voices heard.
Candi, is it fair to say that these efforts on these public schools is a conspiracy-like operation, or is it random groups that just are loosely using the same material school to school? In other words, is there an entity that is organizing what we're seeing take place on the public school campus?
Well, I would say there are a few national groups that are really driving this. I mentioned GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, which is now getting federal grants from the government, so our taxpayer money's paying for this now.
Nice.
Human Rights Campaign is the largest homosexual advocacy group in the nation, and it's piloting a curriculum for elementary schools in several districts in the nation. And I don't think it's circumstance. I think they know what they're doing. They understand that there's a clash in values in our culture right now, and if they can reach the youngest minds, then in later years they will have, for all practical purposes, won that cultural clash. And we're already seeing that with the statistics on younger people that are now in favor of same-sex marriage. There was a story a couple of years ago in USA Today saying that more kids are coming out at younger ages than ever before. So this is a real This has real practical stakes that we're engaged in here.
Yeah, so the reason I asked that question is because there's going to be a temptation by some who watch this broadcast, listen to this broadcast, and say, "Oh, that's for those fancy school districts in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago. That doesn't really affect us out here in the heartland." That's a misleading thought, isn't it?
It absolutely is. In fact, there is a gay activist group. I looked at their website recently, and they flat out said on their website, we are targeting some of the most rural and smallest schools in America. So, you know, don't assume just because you're in a smaller, more conservative area that this isn't coming to you. And as I mentioned when we started, the federal government is now involved in this and has sent letters to all of the schools pressuring them to address these topics. And so your school is going to be coming under pressure to bring these things up in the classrooms. It's not if, it's really a matter of when.
Is that the Department of Education that sent the letters?
And the Department of Justice officials.
Oh, okay, Eric Holder.
Yeah.
Just another reason, friend, and I not speaking on behalf of Focus on the Family, just saying this, just Calvin McCullough, another reason for you to get very involved in the election. Who sits in the White House ends up making a huge difference in a lot of different ways. And we've seen this, and Candi, I know you can attest to this, we've seen a more proactively, hardcore, aggressive advancement of the activists' work in the homosexual activist community under this president than we had for quite some time prior to that.
Yes, and you know, with the students, it's concerning because we're really seeing religious freedoms come into this. And at the college level, I know you were mentioning what's happening in colleges.
Yeah.
We're having students expelled from their programs because they expressed a biblical belief in marriage.
Man, that is so wrong. Candi, thanks for doing all you're doing. TrueTolerance.org. TrueTolerance.org. Candi Cushman got up early this morning.